Alright, Victorum Gaming fans and Hail Caesar fans, we're back. We're covering another of the factions today, and we're going to take a look at one that's called Urartu, so basically 8th century up through about 6th century or so BC. They do have some funky little rules here with some of their units, so we'll kind of just walk through that real quick before we get into the other actual stats and stuff like that. So let's see, where should we start there? So stats for separately armed units are given as an option. Kalapani are represented by light infantry and cart models, so long as the unit is more than 12 from an enemy and is moving over terrain that would otherwise be accessible to chariots, carts. The unit moves at 9 rather than 6 if enemy are within 12, or the unit's moving over terrain unsuitable for vehicles, its movement's reduced to 6, and if the unit moves through terrain which carts can't pass, they must be abandoned. So a little bit of a hybrid unit that we'll see here in just a bit. And beyond that, so taking a look at the requirements, a little bit different than, again, what we've been seeing lately. So, again, cavalry bringing in, or coming up more and more as we get closer to more sort of classical antiquity times. So we got cavalry and chariots up to 25%, and note that Kalapani count as infantry. Cavalry, 50% of the mounted forces. And other than what they say, allied Cimmerians. Infantry does have to still be 75% of the army, and of that, Urartian medium infantry has to be 25%. And so specifically there, at least a quarter of the non-skirmisher infantry units in the army must be the Urartian medium infantry. This includes any units upgraded to Kurubuti, and then the usual division skirmisher breakdowns. And let's jump right in. So what do we got here? So we got the Urartian medium infantry with the mixed spears and bows. And again, pretty solid clash and sustain there with, again, very solid ranged ability. So that's that spear and bow action there, all for 26 points. Typical morale save that we'll see, or we've seen for the medium infantry. And basically, if we upgrade them to Kurubuti, up to half of the units that we do have, basically you get stubborn and tough fighters for 3 more points per the unit. None of the stats change, so pretty solid there. And then basically, if we just had the Urartian medium infantry with spears and no bows, a little bit of short range ability, but more or less the same as our first unit there, just a little bit cheaper. Now we can have an upgrade here, and that's basically to make them medium infantry guards with double-handed axes. And as you can see, the close combat ability jumps up quite a bit. Clash bumps all the way up to 8, which is fantastic for this time period, with a sustained of 7. Again, you're only going to get 1 unit that does this, but worth the upgrade, I would say. Short range drops off a little bit more, but again, these guys are here to mix it up in close combat. Morale stays the same, so you're not adding like heavy armor or anything like that, but they do get stubborn, tough fighters, and steady. You do pay a little bit of a premium for that with that 9 extra points for the unit there, but still just 32 points, and it's just 1 unit, so still worth it. Then we move on to the lighter infantry options, and they do have quite a few here. So light infantry mixed with spears and bows, so basically just a little bit of a downgrade from the medium infantry. So 5 and 5 still respectable on the close combat. Range is really good. Morale drops off though, so really just that t-shirt save. 23 points for the unit there. Then if you just want the spears, obviously the long range drops away, and you save it a little bit more there. So if you don't want any really ranged ability there, long range ability, 20 points for the unit. Now if you want to ditch the spears basically and go to the bows, your combat ability drops off down into the 4s there, but you get that nice 3 for the long range again, and still 20 points a unit. Moving on, a little bit different here, and this is what they were talking about up above, the Kalapani bow-armed light infantry on carts. So again, just adding a little bit more mobility. Same stats there. They do get marksman, and again, just following some of the restrictions and stuff from up above, but 24 points for the unit there. Then coming into basically some of these allied type troops here, Phrygian or Manaean medium infantry with long spears. Combat bumps back up to 6s. A little bit of a short range ability there, the typical sort of medium infantry save, all for 26 points a unit. Nothing special there. Aramaean or Highland skirmishers with javelins as small units. Again, sort of the tried and true template here for basically small unit javelins, or small unit javelin units. Obviously don't expect much in combat, a little bit of short range ability, but also dirt cheap at 11 points. Same guys, but we go to slings or bows, still have a range as slings, fielded as small units. So again, combat drops off a little bit more with just a 2 for the clash. Again, don't expect much from these guys in combat, so try to obviously keep them out there, but you do get that respectable stat of 2 for the long range there, and just for 12 points. Medium cavalry, so a little bit more of the mobility and firepower as far as combat ability here. These are some of your heavy hitters, so mixed with spears and bows, so a nice toolbox unit. 8 on the clash will definitely get some work done. It does drop off to 5 though, so these guys aren't going to stick around for too long, and especially with just that 5 up morale. But as they're maneuvering about, really rock solid range ability there, 29 points a unit. And you do get an option here basically for a single Royal Guard unit. Counts heavy cavalry, spears, and bows, riding barded horses. So, again, sort of your elite cavalry here. Clash goes all the way up to 9, which is fantastic. Sustain stays at 6, very respectable. Same ranged ability as the previous unit, but with that barding, drops your morale save to, or increases your morale save, I should say, to 4. So fantastic there. And they gain steady, 35 points a unit. Definitely a little bit expensive, but again, you just have your 1 unit, and for what they can do, well worth it, again, to take it. And then we bring in the chariots too. Again, another heavy hitting unit there with a clash of 9. Sustained drops off to a 5. But these guys have crew with bows, spears, and javelins, so the range of abilities here, so that's why the short and long range stats are really great there. 3 up as well on the morale save, which is fantastic. So it's a mobile tank basically, compared to a lot of these other lighter units, and all that for 33 points. So pretty dang good there. And then last, as they kind of mentioned up above too, you can have allied Cimmerian horse archers as small units. Again, okay clash value, but again, don't expect much out of that. Sustained obviously drops off into something pretty abysmal there, but again, for a small unit, you get your okay ranged ability there, a little bit of save to top it off, and then the Parthian shot special rule, so for 19 points. So might be worth considering some of those guys. So as we've seen with a lot of these more recent lists, as we get, we're in the Iron Age basically. We've left all the older Bronze Age stuff behind, so armies are changing a little bit here. So you still got that sort of core of medium infantry with various skirmishers and all that stuff, but again, cavalry and like actual real chariots are increasingly playing a role on these army lists here, and that's where a lot of the sort of heavy hitting power comes from. So definitely worth considering having a couple of detachments of that. And then again, still built around maybe that core, that solid core of infantry, since you do have to have 75% of your list being infantry. So, build up a decent little section of cavalry, use that on the flanks, let them do their thing, and then just, move up with your infantry, a lot of which also has very solid range, so you don't necessarily have to invest in a ton of the skirmisher, light infantry type units for your ranged. You can also have some of that in the form of sort of your standard medium infantry unit there. And then last but not least, the typical leadership across the board here, so 8s for the commanders and the general, so about as normal as we expect. So again, not another one of those lists that doesn't really get much attention. Don't see necessarily too many people playing it, but worth taking a look at. A little something different to collect, and sort of challenge yourself to play and collect it, but also challenge hopefully your friends and other opponents. So this has been just a quick rundown of Urartu. So again, 8th through about 6th century BC. Really neat little list, and hope you guys like that. Hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already, and then we'll be back in the next one.